Hello everyone, my name is Beansprout, and yes, I know I took a very long break, at least for me. Quite a long break. I don't usually take breaks this long, but I'm back now. And if you've noticed, I also now have a Twitter. Go and follow me there. I don't really post a whole lot, but when I do make announcements sometimes. Very rarely, but I will keep everyone notified of when I make new videos and other plans I have for future. So if you do want to follow me over there, then I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, that's not the subject of this video. The subject of this video is actually Doom Eternal. Never would have thought. And actually, Doom Eternal has really made me appreciate a lot of other games and how they work. And since playing it, I've always tried to experiment in video games and figure out different ways of playing the game and countering different obstacles, and just being generally more creative with how I tackle different obstacles. It's also helped me appreciate the systems that are actually in place in many games, because before I played the new Doom games, I completely disregarded the systems in pretty much every single game if it didn't play like a COD game or like Halo. And that's because I was a massive fan of those games, and still am to this day. Less about COD and more Halo and Doom, if I'm going to be honest. But since I've played games like Doom and come to appreciate how everything works in games, and the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into making these games, I've really found a lot more enjoyment in games that I otherwise would not have liked, and a lot of games that I've actually ended up being able to finish since then. I tried to get into Dark Souls. It's a brilliant game, really fun. Didn't finish it, and I still haven't to this day, but I still have a lot of fun playing it. I recommend it to you. Watch Dogs, a criminally underrated second game in my opinion. I finally managed to figure out how the stealth mechanics and stuff like that works in that game and finished the game. Very enjoyed it a lot. I was never that big of a fan of Resident Evil. I don't like horror games too much, and I'm not a big fan of survival games. The closest I've come is Minecraft, if you can believe it. And since I've learned to appreciate different games mechanics and systems, I've ended up falling in love with Resident Evil and Resident Evil 8.
Last time, you freak! I swear to God!
One of my favorites in the series. I still only play 7. I know I'm playing them backwards, but God, I love Resident Evil 8 now. A very, very fun game. My full analysis of the game is in the works, but it's gonna take a while because, it's gonna be a longer video. Talking about Doom Eternal and its systems and hearing from other people about new strategies, stuff like that, it's hard to word it. It's a nice feeling being able to figure out finally the mechanics and appreciate how certain games work, and that if they're different to games I've played before, that's alright. Because I've known a lot of people in past who have disregarded games just because they don't play like another game or to competitor to a certain game, which I think is a horrendous reason to end up not liking a game. And sure, you might not like the game's mechanics, but you do have to appreciate the work that's went into them. Unless it's like FIFA or something. And it's not just that, and not just figure out different mechanics, but figure out different strategies. I know Under the Mayo figured out a quick switching strategy in Resident Evil 8.
When firing the rifle or the shotgun normally, you have to wait for the recovery between each shot before you can fire again. But if you immediately switch to another weapon after firing, you bypass the cooldown and can fire again.
And I've come to really enjoy different strategies in that game. There's the certain zombies when you're in Heisenberg's factory with the metal things on their head, and I've come up with a strategy of shooting the metal thing off their head with the pistol and then getting them with the sniper, because the sniper one-shots normal zombies if you get them in the head. And I've come to really enjoy that flow of combat and fighting zombies like that. I've also come to enjoy enemies that have specific weak points now. I would have never really liked that before playing Doom Eternal. I'd think that stoplight enemies kind of suck. I'd be like every other games journalist and people who, average marauder, not enjoyers. But since playing Doom Eternal and figuring out how the Marauder works, learning his systems and how fun it can be to fight certain enemies like that and the Blood Makers, the soldats in Resident Evil 8. Enemies that I'm just gonna call Terminators because it's cooler than calling it a soldat. I've really loved fighting them. Not necessarily the bigger ones with all the armor. I kind of hate them. I just throw bombs at them as much as I can. I really hate them. But just the soldats in general, fighting them, it's really fun. The weak point thing, I love it, and the way that you have to try and bait him to kind of attack and open up his weak point. I do really like that flow of combat, and enemies like that in games, especially stuff like the Terminators and the Marauders, I really do like fighting enemies like this, and I hope that we start to see more of them. And now, of course, I don't want to see them everywhere. That's a given. I don't want to see every game to have every single enemy be like a Marauder or a Terminator, because, you know, that's not fun. Having every single enemy be like that will never be fun. But it's always nice to have that little sprinkle of tougher enemies like that. There's even games like Ultra Kill, which I got into, that play a lot like Doom Eternal, that I didn't really necessarily think, oh, I'm going to quick switch in this game. But when I ended up getting to a certain boss fight, probably one of my favorite fights in the game, I thought, maybe this game plays like Doom Eternal. Maybe I can quick switch and take down this boss a lot more easily and maximize the damage output. And there we go, I beat the boss a lot more easily, and I really enjoyed fighting that character. And there we go, I guess. That's how Doom Eternal has really made me better at other video games and appreciate the mechanics of certain video games that I've never really found the time to enjoy, such as Watch Dogs or Resident Evil, games that I am a massive fan of now. Though Ubisoft, if you are going to make another Watch Dogs game that's not as bad as Legion, please bring back Aiden Pierce and give him more character, because I think that Aiden Pierce being the Punisher of video games is a lot cooler than Marcus, who probably plays League of Legends in his parents' basement. Please bring back Aiden. But other than that, yeah, that's it. So if you did enjoy the video, then give it a like, and if you really enjoyed the video, then consider subscribing. It really keeps me motivated to make videos, and I really enjoy making videos, so your support, I really love that. I also have a Twitter now, go follow that or whatever, I post stuff. And I also have a Discord, which you can go join. We don't bite, we're pretty nice there, so yeah. Other than that, thank you for watching, and have a nice day.